Golden Retriever dog refused to leave the stillborn baby. 10 minutes later a cry was heard. They told the parents it was over. They said there was no heartbeat, no breath, no chance. But a Golden Retriever refused to accept that answer. And 10 minutes later, a sound filled the room that no one was ready for. A baby's cry. Before the doctors ran back in. Before anyone could explain what happened. This is what led to that moment. It was early morning in a small hospital in Ohio when everything began to fall apart. Ethan Miller was standing in a hallway, staring at the floor, holding a leash that felt heavier than it should. On the other end of it was Buddy, his Golden Retriever. Buddy was not sitting. He was not lying down. He was standing stiff, ears up, eyes locked on one door. Room 218. The nurses had already told Ethan 3 times that the dog could not be there. Security was on the way. But Buddy would not move. Not an inch. Ethan's hands were shaking. His wife, Lauren, was inside that room. So was their baby. And everyone had just told him the same thing. There was nothing they could do. 6 hours earlier, none of this made sense. That morning, Lauren was sitting at the kitchen table, holding her belly, staring into space. Buddy sat right at her feet. Too close. Closer than usual. Every time Lauren tried to stand up, Buddy stood too. When she walked toward the sink, Buddy blocked her path. When she laughed and tried to step around him, Buddy pushed closer, whining low in his throat. Ethan noticed it right away. Buddy never acted like this. Lauren tried to joke about it. She said maybe Buddy thought the baby was coming today. She smiled, but her face looked tired. Then the smile faded. Lauren went quiet. Her hand pressed hard against her stomach. Her breathing changed. "Something's wrong," she said. Buddy barked once. Loud. Sharp. Ethan didn't wait. He grabbed his phone and called 911 while Buddy paced in tight circles, whining and barking like he was trying to say something no one else could hear. The ambulance arrived fast. Lauren was lifted onto the stretcher. Buddy tried to jump in after her. A paramedic stopped him. "Dogs can't ride with us." Buddy fought the leash. Ethan had to pull him back. As the ambulance doors closed, Buddy let out a long howl. Not a bark. Not a whine. A sound that made people on the sidewalk stop and turn around. At the hospital, Ethan waited. Time stretched in strange ways. 10 minutes felt like an hour. An hour felt like nothing at all. Doctors went in and out. Nurses walked past without looking at him. Then one doctor stopped. Her face was calm, but her eyes were not. She told Ethan there had been a sudden problem. She explained it slowly, carefully. She said the baby's heart had stopped during delivery. She said they tried everything. She said the baby did not respond. Ethan heard the words, but they didn't land. He walked into the room where Lauren was lying. She was awake. Her face was wet with tears, but she wasn't making any sound. Next to her bed was a small table. On it was a tiny body wrapped in a white blanket. Still. Silent. Cold. Ethan felt his knees weaken. Lauren turned her head away. She couldn't look. They sat like that for a long time. No one spoke. Later, Ethan's phone rang. It was their neighbor. Buddy had broken through the backyard gate. He was running back and forth, barking nonstop. Scratching at the door. Refusing to calm down. Ethan hung up the phone and stared at the wall. Buddy was not done. And somehow, Ethan knew this story wasn't either. Ethan left the hospital without really knowing why. His body moved before his mind could catch up. The drive home felt empty, like the world had lost its sound. When he pulled into the driveway, Buddy was already there. The Golden Retriever stood in the middle of the yard, chest rising fast, eyes wide. The moment he saw Ethan, he ran to the car. Not in greeting. Not with joy. with purpose. Buddy barked and turned back toward the street. Then he ran a few steps, stopped, and looked back. He did it again. And again. He wanted to go back. Ethan knelt and grabbed Buddy's face. His hands were shaking. "It's over, boy," he whispered. "It's done." Buddy didn't calm down. He didn't sit. He pulled at the leash so hard it burned Ethan's palm. Something inside Ethan cracked. "Fine," he said. His voice barely worked. "Fine. You're coming with me." The hospital lights were already on when they returned. As soon as Ethan opened the car door, Buddy jumped out and pulled toward the entrance like he knew exactly where to go. People stared. A nurse stepped in front of them. "Dogs are not allowed inside, sir." Ethan tried to speak, but the words came out broken. "Please. Just a few minutes." Security was called. That was when an older nurse stepped forward. She looked at Ethan's face, then at Buddy, who had gone still again. Focused. Locked in. "What room?" she asked. Ethan told her. 5 minutes, she said. "Then you leave." Ethan didn't thank her. He couldn't. He just walked. Buddy led the way. Down the hall. Past rooms. Past nurses. Straight to room 218. When Ethan opened the door, Lauren turned her head. Buddy walked past both of them. He went straight to the table. The baby was still wrapped in white. Still not moving. Buddy sniffed the air. His tail began to move, slow at first. Then faster. Lauren sat up slightly, fear in her eyes. Ethan raised a hand. He didn't know why, but he needed her to wait. Buddy placed his nose against the blanket. Then he pressed closer. His warm breath moved the edge of the cloth. He let out a soft sound. Not a bark. Not a growl. A low, steady whine. Buddy nudged the baby once. Then again. Ethan's heart pounded so hard it hurt. Nothing happened. Buddy didn't stop. He lay down beside the table, pressed his body against the baby, and stayed there. Whining. Breathing. Warm. 1 minute passed. 2. Lauren covered her mouth, tears spilling down her face. Ethan felt his hope rise and fall at the same time. Then Buddy lifted his head. And the room changed. At first, Ethan thought he imagined it. A tiny sound. So small it almost wasn't there. Buddy's ears shot up. The golden retriever froze, then lifted his head higher. His tail began to wag, slow and careful, like he was afraid to move too fast. Another sound came. A weak breath. Ethan's chest tightened. He stepped closer to the table, his eyes locked on the blanket. The baby's chest moved. Just a little. Lauren gasped. Her body went stiff, her hands shaking. "Ethan," she whispered. Buddy let out a soft bark, then nudged the baby again. Gentle. Slow. This time, the sound was clearer. A cry. Thin. Fragile. Real. Lauren screamed. Not in fear. In shock. In disbelief. Ethan slammed the call button on the wall again and again. "Help!" he shouted. "Please!" The cry grew louder. The door flew open. A doctor rushed in, followed by 2 nurses. They stopped mid-step. The baby was moving. The doctor moved fast, lifting the blanket, checking for a pulse. Her hands trembled as she listened, then listened again. "I have a heartbeat," she said. Her voice broke. "It's there." The nurses stared, frozen. The baby cried again, stronger this time. Lauren reached out, sobbing. "Please. Please let me hold him." The doctor nodded and carefully placed the baby into her arms. His skin was warming. His breathing was uneven but steady. Lauren held him close, shaking from head to toe. Ethan dropped to his knees. He pressed his face into the side of the bed and cried like he hadn't since he was a child. Buddy sat beside them, calm now. His job was done. More doctors came. Machines beeped. Voices filled the room. Tests were run. Vitals checked. Again and again. Each time, the answer was the same. The baby was alive. Later, when the room finally went quiet, the doctor sat down with Ethan and Lauren. She spoke slowly, choosing her words. Sometimes, she said, a baby's body can slow down so much that it looks like life has stopped. Especially when the body is very cold. The brain can stay protected. The heart can be too weak to detect. She paused. Warmth and touch can bring them back. Lauren looked down at the baby in her arms. Then she looked at Buddy. So he helped, she whispered. The doctor nodded. He may have done more than we understand. Buddy rested his head on Ethan's knee. And for the first time that day, Ethan felt something other than pain. He felt hope. The next few hours felt unreal. Doctors came in waves. Each one checked the baby, asked questions, and looked confused in the same quiet way. Machines showed steady numbers. The baby's color improved. His cry grew stronger. Every test came back normal. No brain damage. No signs of distress. The doctor finally smiled. She said words Ethan never thought he would hear. He's going to be okay. Lauren broke down again, holding the baby close to her chest like she was afraid the moment might disappear if she let go. They named him Noah. Buddy was allowed to stay longer than anyone expected. No one asked him to leave. Nurses walked in, saw him lying on the floor beside the bed, and quietly stepped around him. That night, Ethan sat on the floor next to Buddy, his back against the wall. You didn't give up, he whispered. Buddy thumped his tail once and rested his head on Ethan's leg. The doctor returned later and tried to explain what had happened. She said there was a rare condition where the body restarts on its own after it seems like everything has stopped. She said cold can protect the brain. She said warmth and movement can make a difference. Some people call it medicine, she said. Some people call it a miracle. Ethan didn't argue. 3 days later, they walked out of the hospital together. Lauren held Noah. Ethan pushed the bag. Buddy walked close, never taking his eyes off the baby. At home, they set the crib beside their bed. Buddy dragged his own bed next to it. Every night, he slept there. Every sound Noah made brought Buddy's head up. Every breath was watched. Weeks passed. Noah grew stronger. He ate well. He slept peacefully. Buddy stayed near. Always. People asked Ethan what really happened that day. He never knew how to answer. All he knew was this. When everyone else stopped believing, Buddy didn't. And that made all the difference. Noah grew fast. By 6 months, he laughed easily. By 1 year, he reached for Buddy before he reached for toys. The golden retriever followed him everywhere, slow and careful, like he understood how close they had come to losing everything. Buddy never slept far from him. If Noah cried, Buddy was already there, standing by the crib before Ethan or Lauren could even sit up. The doctors continued to check on Noah. Each visit ended the same way. Healthy. Strong. Perfect. One doctor finally said something Ethan would never forget. Most people think life and death are clear lines. Sometimes they're not. Ethan thought of that day often. The hallway. The leash in his hand. The moment he almost listened when they said it was over. If he had left Buddy at home, Noah would not be here. On Noah's 2nd birthday, they placed a small cake on the floor. Noah clapped. Buddy sat beside him, tail wagging. When Noah leaned forward and wrapped his arms around Buddy's neck, everyone went quiet. Buddy closed his eyes. That night, after Noah fell asleep, Ethan sat beside the crib and watched his son breathe. Buddy rested his head against the crib rail, just like he always had. "Thank you," Ethan whispered. Buddy didn't move. He didn't need to. He had already done everything. If you were in that hospital, would you have let the dog stay? Yes or no? Let us know. And if this story moved you, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.